Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday, your daily stop for virtual reality content. My name is Dee, and today is a special episode. We are going to be showing how to do the initial setup of the Samsung Gear VR with our Samsung Galaxy Note 4. So this is not a complicated process, and in fact, the main reason I'm showing it is not that I want to help you to be able to get through it. It's actually really easy. It's that I want to show what the experience is like when you first get your Gear VR and you want to set it up. And a lot of the cool things they do with introducing the platform and the initial tutorial for the controls, and it's really displaying the level of consumer polish that we're hoping to see more of as we go into the consumer version of the Oculus Rift. DK2 didn't really have much in the way of new user tutorials. DK2 pretty much just came with a little booklet that said, yeah, it has some wires. You put these wires in here, these wires in here. You should put your camera like somewhere in front of you. And there was no like software tutorial like this has, which is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So the first thing I'm going to do before I do anything, you are going to need your Gear VR. You're going to need your phone, and you're going to need the little 16 gigabyte micro SD card that comes with your Gear VR in the box. And because we're going to be using that SD card, we actually need to take out any existing micro SD card that we have. So I'm going to go into my settings. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here, and I'm going to look for storage. Storage is under System. And I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to hit Unmount SD card so I can safely remove my SD card. There we go. Okay, so now to remove the SD card, I'm going to put my thumbnail into this little notch on the upper right side of my phone, and I'm going to just pry the back right off. It's attached with these little plastic clips that are designed to go off and back on very easily. And here's my existing SD card. It's going to come on out. And it'll ask you during the setup process to put your new SD card in. I'm going to go ahead and put it in now so that it will be ready when it asks for it. In it goes. And I'm just going to leave the back off. Now you can see that if I go into storage now, it says unmount SD card instead of mount. That means it's automatically mounted the new SD card and it's ready to go. Now, in order to get started, the first thing you have to do is on the front of your Gear VR, there is a little USB port on the right-hand side. And you just need to plug that into the USB port of your phone by lining them up like this. And it swivels a little bit, which makes it easier. I'm going to plug it in. Go on. There we go. So now it's plugged in. And I'm going to snap it into place. And you don't have to look into it right now, but if you do, what you will see is this message that says, "Welcome to your Samsung Gear VR. To start the setup process, remove your mobile device and install the required applications on it." So this is a nice touch. Like if you just got this from the store and the first thing you thought was, well, I'm just going to plug it in and use it. It seems easy enough. This is what happens. It tells you, take that thing off. You're not done. So that's what we're going to do. And to take it out, you just press the little black button on the left-hand side. It snaps out. And then you just rotate it out and pull it up off the USB port. And there you go. And now, here is our setup process. Samsung Gear VR, welcome. Going to hit next. You will need access to internet for this. I recommend you do it on Wi-Fi because there are a lot of downloads involved. It just downloaded the installer for the setup. That's the smallest part. Here comes the EULA. EULA is pretty standard stuff. Basically, if there's a dispute, that it's handled in their choice of jurisdiction, that it's severable, that various things like that. I'm going to hit I agree. Going to hit next. Here come the health and safety warnings. This is also pretty standard stuff. If you're familiar with Oculus Rift safety warnings, they warn you about epilepsy. They warn you about not letting children use it. It's unclear the degree to which children can safely use virtual reality at this point, but they're just being conservative. Use in a safe environment. Don't use it in a room full of knives. That would be bad, especially if you're standing. I believe they suggest, they say not to use in a moving vehicle. They say to take breaks. They say to not use the pass-through camera while you're operating a car. That would be stupid. So don't do those things. Just have some common sense, please. All right, so now we're to the next phase. This is installing all the essential core applications that you need to use Gear VR. I'm going to hit install. Now this download's going to take a little while, so I'm just going to use some video editing magic to speed things up. All right, and we are done downloading. And now it's going to install each of those 5 core applications. Oculus Home is the launcher that you're going to be launching your applications from. Oculus is the Oculus Store application for your mobile phone that you can use from your, while it's not in Gear VR, while you're just holding in your hand if you want to install applications that way. I'll show you that in a little bit. I don't know what all those other things are. Samsung Gear VR. All right, now it's time to log into your Oculus account. You can create an account here. I recommend if you want to do it a bit more easier, you can just go to oculusvr.com and create a developer account there on your PC, and you can use that to log in. So I'm going to hit login. Going to enter my email address. You guys can all email me at this address. It's not a secret. It's totally cool. everydayvr@gmail.com. And there we go. We are logging in. Now, it's going to ask you to install these 3 applications: Oculus Cinema, which is the movie theater I showed in my previous video; Oculus 360 Photos, which is used to view 360-degree environments that are static and completely surround you on all sides; and 360 Videos, which I showed briefly at the end of my last video. It's an environment that surrounds you on all sides, and it's also a video that's moving in real time. So I'm going to hit Install Apps. These are pretty big, so this is going to take a few minutes to download again. I'm going to use some more editing. I will see you when it's done. And there we go. So now it's asking us to put in our microSD card. You need to put it in now if you haven't already done it. You can see mine is in there. And so I'm good to go. I'm just going to hit continue. The content that comes on here is mostly like some 360 videos that you can view, just big videos and stuff that they either didn't want you to have to download, or that they couldn't distribute over the internet for legal reasons. I'm not sure which is the case. So I'm going to hit continue. And it's going to go ahead and set that up for me off of the microSD card. By the way, if you want, if you already have a large microSD card, you can go ahead and just copy all the contents of this microSD card over to yours. It will work just fine. It does have to be at least a Speed 4 card if you want to be able to stream the 360 videos off it. And now we're ready to use it, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in, and I will show you how to install an application from inside of Gear VR. Let's go. And now we're ready to get started. Here's the Samsung Gear VR logo. It's in full stereoscopic 3D. We have full head tracking. All of that is already working. It tells us about the focus wheel on top that we can use to adjust our focus. If you are nearsighted, you should turn this to the left. If you have normal vision or are farsighted, you should just turn it all the way to the right, and you should be just fine. This is the health and safety warning. It warns you not to use it with children, and to stay seated or stationary, and not use it while you're if you have health problems and that kind of thing. They have a 15-second timer. It forces you to read it. Then you, because they haven't taught you to use the touchpad yet, they just have you look at this dial until it fills up. And that goes past the health and safety warning. When you see that warning in the future, you'll be able to dismiss it with the touchpad, but they haven't taught you to use it yet, which is, I think, an insightful bit of tutorial. And now it's time for the demonstration video.
What if you could explore the world around you like never before?
I love that stereoscopic space debris.
What if you could be anywhere, experience things you never thought possible?
This scene's very cool. It's all stereoscopic. We're on a mountain above some clouds. There's this dark ring under us where the camera equipment is. But other than that, it's quite flawless. It's very impressive. I don't see any seams.
What if you could share moments of connection across oceans of time?
This is probably my favorite part. You really feel like you're just sitting on this bench in this room with these people. You can see the meeting. You can see all their traditional clothes and the children talking. It's a beautiful, beautiful scene. There's so much to look at in it. I could go and do that one multiple times.
Feel every beat of the performance.
I believe this is from a Cirque du Soleil performance, or rather a rehearsal, because there's nobody in the audience. And I like how the acrobats make you look up, so they encourage you to start looking around and using the head tracking. What? What do you... I don't understand.
What if the possibilities were truly infinite?
And here we are, back among space debris. In deep space, looking at these colorful galaxies. There's Jupiter hanging out in the background. Hey, Jupiter. A little Easter egg for those who want to look behind.
Reality.
Welcome to virtual reality. Imagine this being the first experience of someone with virtual reality when they first get this and put it on. With that smooth, beautiful head tracking, with those photorealistic environments. Even someone who's not a gamer should definitely feel like there's so much majesty and beautiful things in that environment. And now, straight out of there, it's time for the tutorial. So it's going to tell us how to use the touchpad. It's on the right-hand side. It also tells us it's on the right-hand side. And we can tap on it with our finger. Now it's going to teach us to use it by having us do a simple exercise where we look at the thing we want with the little blue crosshair by moving our head. And then we tap on it. So it tells us to tap on the donut 3 times. Also, this arrangement of tiles exactly matches the arrangement of tiles you'll see on the Oculus Home screen. And in the Oculus Store, you now know how to select. And then immediately they have you selecting the continue button now that you understand. So that's very cool. Now another diagram, and they tell us to swipe forward. So forward is away from your body, just like that. Swipe forward and find the cactus. So this is, again, the selection interface that you'll see in a lot of the included VR applications. To the cactus. Select the cactus. Notice how they say select rather than touch the touchpad. They want you to get used to the idea that selecting is touching. Swipe backwards and find the mountain. I really like this one because they don't explain with a diagram how to swipe backwards because they know you're not stupid. They know that if you swipe forward successfully, you probably know backwards is the opposite direction. So there you go. Swipe backwards and select. So I feel like the learning curve on that is just right. It introduces all the essential controls you need for almost every single application on the device. Now, swipe down and up. You will be using these in some of the applications, particularly when you're installing things. I'll show you that a bit later. Swipe down and then swipe up. These are generally used for scrolling in a scroll text box. Going to click continue. And the back button. The back button is super important. It's right above the touchpad. I'm going to press it now. And if I hold down the back button for several seconds, I will find myself in the universal menu. So the universal menu is accessible from all applications at all times by holding the back button. We can get back to Oculus Home this way. We can access our pass-through camera at any time. So if I wanted to get a drink, I could hit my pass-through camera. And I could say, oh, there's my drink. I will grab it, pick it up. Put it back down. You can see there's my camcorder recording this video right now. It's kind of meta. There's my PC. I can actually lean in close to my monitor and then the camera will focus on it and I can actually use my computer this way, which is interesting. It's recording my audio right now. That's what you're looking at. All right, let's get out of here and reorient. I'll show you more of this later. It makes it so that forward is the direction you're currently looking. Do not disturb. So normally, no matter what application you're in, you will always get pop-up notifications, the same notifications that pop up in the upper left on your Android phone. And this is really useful, like if you have a calendar event you want to be notified about. If so, you can add any event to your calendar and it'll pop up automatically when the time for that event arrives, no matter what application you're in. So you don't have to worry about checking the time while you're engrossed in a VR application, which is very cool. It'll also show things like text messages, weather alerts, all that stuff. So if you're waiting on a text from somebody, like say that they're about to arrive and you're waiting for them at a restaurant, you can use this while you wait and they can text you and say, hey, I'm getting there. And then you can be like, okay, I'll take my Gear VR off. So that's very cool. But if you want to be completely immersed without any interruptions, you can turn it off right here. The brightness. So to adjust the brightness, you look at this, then you look up at this bar, and you can swipe up and down to change it. If you swipe all the way down to 0, it is as dark as possible. And it's actually not that bad to have it be dark because the Gear VR does a good job of sealing out all the light. And so your eyes, if you're in this dark environment, will eventually dilate so that it won't look so dark anymore. It'll look kind of bright. And that's a nice way to save battery, especially on like long flights and bus rides and that kind of thing. But if you're playing an application or game where there's a bright outdoor environment and you really want to have your eyes feel like you're in that bright environment, you can turn this up all the way to the top. I like to turn mine all the way to the top when I can to make everything extra clear to see. It does use the battery more quickly, of course, so you should have a spare battery ready to go if you do that. And finally, comfort mode. This is not the same thing as VR comfort mode, which has to do with locomotion and turning your body. Comfort mode actually just kind of adjusts the white balance or gamma of the screen so that all this white text looks just a little bit orange now, kind of like I am indoors with an incandescent light bulb in a room. And the point of this is that if you're using this in regular mode and you have all this bright white stuff shining in your face and it's late at night and you're about to go to bed, that kind of thing can wake you up and screw with your body's circadian rhythm. And so they added just for people who, are about to go to bed, but they want to like watch something in Oculus Cinema or whatever, and they can turn on comfort mode and that will help them to feel a little bit more sleepy. So I prefer to leave it off to get the accurate colors. It'll look orange when you first turn it on, but as your eyes get used to that white balance, it will fix itself. Let's go ahead and get out of here, hit the back button. That's the universal menu. Congrats, you completed the touchpad tour. So that was pretty quick. They want to show us the gamepad now. I don't have it. I don't have the Samsung gamepad, so I can't go through this part of the tutorial. If one of you has a Samsung gamepad, I would like to know what you think of this tutorial. I decided I'm just going to use like standard Android, like generic, cheap Android Bluetooth gamepads with the applications that require gamepads because the Samsung one seems a little bit wildly overpriced, but if there is an app that really requires it, I will still pick it up. So I'm going to skip this. And here we are, Oculus Home. This is where we launch our applications from. So it will show us our most recent applications that we've run right here. This is the most recent one. This is the tutorial that we just did. And over here are other ones that we've run recently, but not as recently. And if we go into our library, we can see all of our installed applications. So the ones that come with it, there's only a few. There's Strangers with Patrick Watson, which is a 360 music video. So it's a music video that completely surrounds you on all sides. Cirque du Soleil, it's a 360 video of circus performers. VR introduction, this is actually the video we saw earlier with like that, the mountaintop and space and the house in the foreign country. VR Gallery is an application for viewing photos on your phone. So I can go into this briefly and show you what's up. These small applications actually load quite quickly, so it's pretty easy to go in and out of them. Loading, done. So I'm going to go into, so Dwa VR is actually on the included card, and that's just a little icon. And these are some pictures of Anna Nalick from a concert that I recently saw here in Oakland. And you can just browse through your pictures like this. It makes them nice and big. You cannot zoom in on them, I don't believe. Oh, you can. You can swipe up and down to zoom in. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. But it's not really showing the detail from the photo. It's just getting blurrier as I zoom closer to it. All right, so that's interesting. And you can play a slideshow, which will automatically go through them. So very, very basic application. But if you want to explore images on your device, you can use it to do that. Let's go back to Oculus Home. We pick up right where we left off. Oculus 360 Photos. This is just, it puts a static environment all around you, and you can look around it using head tracking. And there are some very, very pretty ones included with 360 Photos on your memory card. So let's say I wanted to go to Mars. Here I am. I am now on Mars using photos that were gathered by Curiosity. Here's Curiosity, and it looks a lot bigger in real life. I mean, I know this isn't real life, but there's the sun. The sun is a bit smaller in the Martian sky. Some dusty fields all around me. You can see so much detail on this rover. I didn't know how big it was. I thought it was a cute little thing. This thing's like, it feels like it's like the size of a small truck or something. All right. Well, maybe not a truck, but like a go-kart or something. All right, let's go ahead and get out of Mars. Go back to Oculus Home. 360 videos. I showed this a bit last time. This is, it's like the 360 photos, but it's moving and changing between scenes and so on. Oculus Cinema lets you watch movies in a virtual theater. And tutorial. That's what we just did. These are all the included applications. There are updates available for a few of them. If you go to updates, you can tap on these to update them. So all you do is you hit update and hit accept. So you can scroll up and down in these permissions by swiping up and down. Hit accept. And that's going to download the update for the VR introduction. And you don't have to stick around and wait for it while it does that. You can go anywhere. So I'm going to actually go over, in the library, you can actually install new applications from the library. You might notice a little bit of juddering when you're installing something, and that's normal. So I'm going to go to all. You can install things from here. So you can see I can go over any of these, and if it already has it, it'll say start. If it doesn't have it, it'll say install. That's one way to install things. You can view details before you install them. Right here, you can see the summary. You can see the details, the publisher and the genre. You can see some screenshots to see if it's the kind of thing you want to install, and any updates that are currently available. So I actually want to show you the other place you can install applications from, which is the store over here on the left. The store has two categories, all and Samsung, which is just the Samsung sponsored applications. And I'm actually going to install, so this goes through them 6 at a time. It's a faster way to browse through them than trying to browse through them in the library. And I'm going to pick one to install. How about Titans of Space? Let's try out that one. So I'm not going to, I'd like to explore this in a full video. I'm not going to do that right now, but I am going to type install, check out all these permissions, and hit accept. It notes that this is a very large download. It's considerably larger than the downloads that we did during setup, 220 megabytes. I'm going to hit accept. And now we are going to hang out and wait for this download to finish. I'll be back when it's done. And it's done downloading, and now it is installing. So it says download complete, go to your library to install. That message actually doesn't make a lot of sense because it's already installing it. As you can see, it says installing. The progress bar is still moving. So while it's installing, we can check out some of this other stuff. You don't have to sit around and wait for it to download and install. You can go do other things. I believe you can even launch a different VR applications and play them, like play a VR game while you are downloading and installing something. I don't think you have to be in Oculus Home. One of you can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Here are some details. This is created by Drash, who is a single developer. It's a very cool solar system exploration game. I'm going to launch it in a minute just to show you how to launch. Here are some nice screenshots. There's Titan, moon of Saturn. There are the inner planets against the sun. one of the moons of Uranus, I believe, or Neptune, actually. Neptune. There's one of the very large suns, other than our own. The screenshots seem a little bit tiny. Like, you're not getting a sense of the full application from these tiny, tiny little screenshots. Installation complete. So this will show up no matter where you are, as long as you're in Oculus Home. It might even show up in other applications. And you can go ahead and hit Start to start it up. You can also start it at any time from your library. So it's not showing up here right now because I haven't run it recently. But if I go to my library and I go to Installed, no, that's not the thing I wanted to run. I tapped it by mistake. Get out of there. Okay, I'm going to hold down my back button. Okay, it's loading the application. Sometimes if you start loading an application, you will not be able to get out of it until it finishes. Whoa. I haven't actually run this one before, but this is a very well done 360 video with full stereoscopy and no visible seams that I can see. That's very cool. All right, let's get out of here. Go back to Oculus Home. I just held down my back button to bring this up. And then I hit Oculus Home. And I want to swipe over to Titans of Space. Hit Start. And that's all I have to do in the library. And it will go ahead and start loading, and it'll come up. The loading screen of Titans of Space is actually a great place to show off asynchronous time warp, because you can, if you look left and right, you will actually notice sometimes that a large part of the view becomes black. And the interesting thing is the reason that's happening is because during loading, there are long periods of multiple seconds where it's just not rendering anything. And you can still look around smoothly. Parts of the area will become black like this, but you can still look around. And if this were on a PC, when it pauses for multiple seconds like that, you wouldn't be able to look around. Please remove your mobile device and let it cool down before resuming. Okay, well, you get the idea. I've shown you the basics of how to manage applications inside of Gear VR in the VR environment using Oculus Home and the Oculus Store. Now I'm going to take it out and show you how to manage VR applications on your phone using a phone interface, a mobile interface with the Oculus mobile app. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take it off. I'm going to hit the button, take my phone out. I just tilt it out and then I pull it up off the USB port. That's the easy way to remove it. And now I'm going to hit my home button, and if I scroll over, you will see that the Oculus application has been added to my home screen. And I can tap on that, and this will allow me to actually install applications and review my VR applications from my phone without having to put it inside of Gear VR, which can be pretty handy if you just want to set up a bunch of stuff and then go into VR and use it. So, say I wanted to install, so these are the current featured applications. If you want to see all the applications, you can just go to Games, Apps, or Experiences. So, Games is all here. These are all the games that are available. You can check out their details. So I could tap on, say, Darknet, and I could swipe left and right to see if there are any updates, to see who the publisher is, the genre, the website. I could tap on the website to open it in my web browser if I want to, and describes it, and I can install it just by tapping the orange install down at the bottom. It asks me for permissions. I hit accept. Now I'm going to wait for this download to finish. This will only take a minute. And it's done. So now it is installing Darknet. We can continue to explore other applications. While it's doing that, I can go over to Featured, look through here. I can look through my library, which is my existing applications. You can see that Titans of Space is here, which I installed earlier. I can uninstall it from here by tapping on the uninstall button. I don't believe that feature is available inside of Oculus Home. I may be mistaken about that. So let's go ahead and uninstall Titans of Space just to show you how that works. I tapped on it, now it's uninstalled. And if I click install again, it will have to re-download it entirely from scratch because it deleted all the files associated with it. So I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go back to Games. I'm going to go back to Darknet. And while I did that, it finished installing Darknet. And I can go ahead and click Start here to actually play it. So I'm going to, before I go into Darknet, I'm going to just go through some of the other features here. So if I tap on Everyday VR, that's my Oculus account. I can log out and log in as a different user if I want to. I can tap on Help, which gives me access to their customer support. I can tap on Settings. Settings mainly just gives you your email and password, whether you want to change them, and access to some information like the privacy policy and terms of service and the current version of the application. So nothing too remarkable under Settings right now. And it's really nice to be able to browse through applications on your phone without having to be inside VR because, for one thing, you can use the full resolution of the phone. This is 1440p resolution, so everything is super clear. All the text is very clear, and you can do this like while you're out in at a coffee shop or something without having to wear a thing on your head just to install applications. So you can browse new applications and explore them and read their descriptions and do all that just while you're doing other things. So that's pretty cool. I really like this. I really like this mobile application for managing your VR apps. And I definitely recommend checking it out if you have not, if you have been installing everything in VR. I forgot to show you that we can actually launch applications from here. So I'm going to go to Darknet. I'm going to hit Start. It says to open this application, insert your device into the Gear VR. While this window is up, we are just going to insert it, snap it in, put it on my head, and as you can see, when we put it on, we are put directly into the application, into Darknet. Here we are at the loading screen. We didn't have to go through Oculus Home. We didn't have to go through the health and safety warning. We just skip directly to the application. This can be great if you want to streamline your process of getting into a particular VR app. You just pick it on your phone, you hit start, and then you put on your headset and you're good to go. So I find that very handy. And when I get in the Darknet for a minute, I will actually show you something. So here we are at Darknet. So it's telling us to tap on the touchscreen to continue. And what I want to show you is I said I would tell you more about the reorient feature. So say that I'm looking over this way and I want this to be forward, but the Darknet screen is not in front of me right now. It's off to the left, and that's not where I want it to be. So I'm going to hold down my back button. That little dial will fill up. I will be here at the universal menu. I will hit reorient. And now the Darknet menu, the Darknet logo is directly in front of me. If I want to put it back the other way, I turn the other way. I hold down the back button. Notice that you have to face the way you want to be forward before you hold down the back button. You can't do it here and then hit reorient because you have to be looking at the reorient button in order to hit it. And I tap it. And there we go. So this has been the basics of the setup for Gear VR and the tutorial that they give you, the welcome video that they give you, which I think are really cool and great steps to making this a consumer-ready product with a consumer-ready level of polish. And I'm hoping to see similar things on the consumer version of the Oculus Rift. And I showed you how to install and manage your VR applications, both inside of VR using Oculus Store and Oculus Home, as well as using the Oculus mobile application, which can be a great way to both launch apps quickly and also to see a nice sharp presentation of the descriptions and information regarding the applications. So that's all for today. Let me know your thoughts about this setup process. Let me know any of those Gear VR demos you want to see me go into in more depth. Let me know if there's any questions you have, anything else you want to see on this platform. And that's all for today. Everybody have a great every day.